Hello, friends. Welcome back to Other Matters, series number 8. Today, we are treating a topic that is very controversial and which many people would rather not touch, but which is very essential to the development of particularly Africa. The topic is: should churches in Africa pay corporate taxes? Should churches in Africa pay corporate taxes? I'm focusing on Africa because uh, churches in many parts of the world pay taxes, you know, but in Africa, it's almost like a taboo. In many countries in Africa, it's almost like a taboo to talk about a church paying tax. So I want to explore this topic and come with me as we go through the discussion today. Should churches in Africa pay corporate taxes? Now, life on earth is a tale of two classes, whichever way you look at it: social, religious, political, economical. It's a tale of two classes: the victors and the victims. The victors of those are those who have conquered, those who have prevailed, and who are enjoying the benefits, you know, of all the goodies, all the things on earth. The victims are those that are crushed, who for many reasons are not able to compete at level grounds with others. So if you come to the political uh, arena, we have the ruling parties, and that's why there's so much struggle for power. The ruling parties, why do they struggle for power? Why do they need power so much? Because there's wealth. Power and wealth go together. All right. So there's that ruling class, the politicians who have power over the wealth of the nation, and then the ordinary people who are sweating and dying, to create wealth for the ruling class to enjoy, or better still, to distribute. That their governance is, the supervision of the population, to exploit the resources of the nation, and then to distribute in such a way that every member of society would benefit from it, would be able to live. That's what governance is for. All right. But the ruling class, as we have noted, the greed and selfishness, which is a character of Satan, has made it in such a way that those at the top, take the almost all the cake and leave a very small percentage for those that are laboring and dying and sweating down there. When you come to the economic field, it's the same thing. The business people, the business owners, they are enjoying all the waste that they can. You know, they do not care about the people who are working and being crushed and dying for them, sweating. People working even up to 70, 80 years, they are still, they work until they drop dead, and they continue to give them salaries that cannot make them live. They will have Many people would have to do 2 or 3 jobs before they live, whilst others are purchasing private jets, yachts, spreading money, going to the outer space and all these kind of things, while some people cannot even eat 2 square meals a day. That is how society is. It's a tale of two classes. When you come to religion, it's the same thing. The clergy, who says that don't touch God's anointed, they are there, and under the behind the pulpit, behind the cloak of clergy, they are enriching themselves They are on one side, and on the other side, the poor members of the churches, the mosque, the shrines, the poor people who come there, who have to give in order to benefit from whatever the religious leaders offer. Okay, so it's a tale of two classes: the victims and the victors, or the victors and the victims. All right. Now, having said that, let us go on to talk about churches paying taxes. So, when we say corporate tax, what is a corporate tax? It's also called a company tax or corporation tax. So, a corporate tax simply is a direct tax imposed by a jurisdiction like the government on the income or capital of a corporate entity, a corporation, or an analogous legal entity. A legal entity is something, a person or thing that has rights and obligations. It's a legal entity. All right. So a corporate entity, when we talk about a corporation or a company, it is a legal entity. And corporate tax or corporation tax, company tax, is tax imposed by the government on a company, imposed either on their revenue or on their capital. That's what the corporate tax is. Now, so why taxes in the first place? Why do we pay taxes? It's important to understand the need and use of taxes. Taxes allow governments to perform and provide services that don't occur naturally. There are some services that don't occur naturally, something that human beings need, but which don't occur naturally. If we all accepted to live like the Stone Age, if we accepted to live in the forest and be gatherers and hunters, okay, that's a different thing. We'll all use what is produced by nature. But we have learned to purify water, and this water has to be tapped from somewhere and purified. Who does that? It's the government. We've learned to ride in cars. A car cannot ride in the forest, cannot drive in the forest, There must be a road. And that road is made by the government. No single person can build 100 or 200, 300-kilometer road with asphalt. No single person can do that. Even if they were able to do that, they won't. They will not do that. They'll not use their own money to do that. So that responsibility comes to the government, to do that. And where would the government get the money from? Taxes. Potable water, electricity, hospitals. All these are needed in the society. We need them. Human beings need them. The society, the modern society needs these things to function. If they're not there, today we're talking about, internet. Look at how important internet is today. Of course, there are private companies providing internet, but governments such as the government of America is trying to expand, the base of the internet so that every village in America would have, internet at a cost that every person can uh, can have access to. That's how I believe every government should endeavor to make sure that internet facilities are such that they are priced in such a way that even ordinary people who are not rich, will be able to access internet. So all these things are what the government does in order to make life comfortable, sometimes possible for human beings. That's the reason that we pay taxes. Where would the government get the money to do all these things? we all have to contribute. We all have to pay taxes to help the government achieve this. So taxes are important. Okay. In many countries, taxes are the primary source of income, except in most of Africa, where the majority of people, evade taxes. They don't pay. Until recently in Ghana, only a very little percentage of people were paying taxes. The majority of people were not paying. Today, the government is making an effort to spread the tax net so that a majority of people will pay taxes. In America and in Europe, you have to pay taxes. Everyone will have to pay taxes. If you don't pay taxes, if you evade tax, you go to jail. That's why America is developed. That's why Europe is developed. You talk about many of the countries, they don't have as much natural resources as Africa has. But why are they able to develop, to have where do they get all the money to develop the way they have been able to do? They have a good tax system. The system of taxes is efficient, and they make everyone responsible. You have to pay tax. You have to file at the end of the year. You have to file maybe the first 3 months of the next year. You have to file for the past year. And woe unto you if you don't file. The laws bite. Right? So in Africa, the taxes are looked upon as punishment. It's not punishment. It's just to help you. You want your child to go to school. You want to drink potable water. You want to have electricity. And most of the time, especially in Africa, we hear people crying, government, government, government. The government should do this, and the government should do that. Fix the government, fix the government. When people say fix the government, for instance, in Ghana, what are they saying? They're saying build the roads. We need electricity. We need potable water. So you're asking the government to fix the road. You should pay the tax. Pay the tax. Pay your taxes. And the taxes will enable the government, to do its job. So what is the legal status of most churches? If we take most churches, they register under what we call companies limited by guarantee, as opposed to companies limited by shares. Okay, it simply means that nobody is the direct owner of that company. Of course, there are owners, the people who register the company. But if the company, winds down, the property goes to another organization, charitable organization. The company is limited by guarantee. If there's a debt, the people who are the owners share. They pay the debt. Okay. But when you come to churches, yes, they are companies limited by guarantee. They are legal entities. Okay. And which means that the legal entity means that it is like a person. We call it a legal person. It has rights and it has obligations. Okay. A church can sue and be sued. That's what a legal person means. It means that it's just like you and me. It has a right and obligations of a person. That's why we say that companies are a legal entity. It's a legal person. A legal person. As opposed to a human person. The company is not a human person, but it's a legal person. It has rights and obligations that it must meet. Okay, so that is what a church is. Just like any one of us. The church can make income, A church can make a company can make. I'm talking about company. A company can make income. A company can lose. You know, they can lose. Their property. They can lose everything. They can run at a loss, as every human being would do. And like I said, a company can sue and be sued. So it's a legal entity. Now, so let's come to the question of the day. Should churches pay taxes? My answer is simply yes. Churches should pay taxes. And I'm going to give you 6 reasons that I believe churches should pay taxes. Churches should pay taxes except those exempted by the jurisdiction, whether it's the government or, like in the case of IRS in the United States, the tax revenue jurisdiction. Every church registered must pay taxes except those that have been exempted. They've been given exemption status by the revenue entity, like IRS or internal revenue. In the case of Ghana, it's internal revenue. Now, why are some churches or some charitable organizations exempted? They are given tax exemption because their activities, their stated goals, and their current activities, whatever they do, is meant to provide relief for the ordinary person. The government has the task of taking care of ordinary people, all the people. And God has a responsibility of taking care of people who are less advantaged, those that are crushed, like the orphans, like the widows, like refugees, like the poor. Just go through the Bible from the Old Testament to the New Testament. God keeps talking about the poor. The poor in the Old Testament, there were rules given, and things put in place, certain systems put in place to take care of the poor. People could not fend for themselves for one reason or the other. In the Old Testament, that they didn't possess land, like a widow, like a stranger. They didn't have money to purchase land. God gave orders that permitted those people to live, and the tithing system was part of the part of the system that part of what God used to take care of the widows, the orphans, and the poor. God also gave an instruction that when people who had farms were harvesting, if any of the crops fell to the ground, they should not pick it. They should leave it for the poor, for the orphans, for the widows. So as the harvested were in front and they were harvesting, the poor, the disadvantaged, were following after them and picking, the crops that fell to the ground. This was a social welfare system that God provided in the Old Testament. In the New Testament, the widows were being taken off. If you go to First Timothy, Second Timothy, and even Titus, they talk about widows. They talk about the poor, sharing poor, giving money to the poor, giving food to the poor. So every government, what it sought, should take care of the vulnerable in the society. The society is not equal. All people cannot compete on level. It's not level. So you can't compete. There are some people who they can't even compete. Some people, because of their health conditions, because of the place they were born, because of their training, their culture, are not able to compete on level grounds with everyone else. And every government, what is sought, must endeavor to make sure that whatever is exploited from the soil, whatever is exploited from the commonwealth, is a commonwealth. The gold, the diamonds, the oil, and everything is commonwealth. God put it there for everyone, not for a few who have the capacity to exploit, but for everyone else. Right? So the government is there as the referee to make sure that there's equity. And how does government function? In the first place, the government will have to function. The government will have to pay those that are working in order to ensure equity, in order to ensure the equitable distribution of natural resources or the wealth, the common wealth. All right. So churches must pay taxes, because they are making profit. If you are not exempted, you must pay taxes. Those that are exempted are already serving the poor. They are already sending relief to people that have natural disasters and man-made disasters, catastrophes. They are there helping them, giving them food, shelter, clothing. For such organizations or companies, corporations or organizations, the government gives tax exemption. They don't pay taxes because they are not for-profit organizations. They are using whatever they get to serve the poor, to help the government take care of the poor. They serve God because God's burden is to take care of the poor, the widows, the orphans, the strangers. These are the vulnerable people in the society, the sick, and that is God's will, that these people must be taken care of. So any organization that is not making profit and loading their pockets with the profit, but laboring to take care of the vulnerable in the society, they're actually doing the work of God and also doing the work of government. So the government gives them tax exemption. So unless a church has tax exemption, they will have to pay taxes because they are legal persons. Okay, right. So let's go. Okay. Now I'm going to talk about, I've already begun to talk about the 6 reasons, so let me go. So the number 1, I said churches are legal persons that have legal rights and subject to obligations like all persons. I've already said that. They're like you and me, we're all doing, some things that we earn from. You pay taxes. As human beings, as ordinary persons, pay taxes. Churches that are not exempt have to pay taxes because every other person pays tax. Okay. Reason number 2, most churches today are unlike, those of the past. They are run like enterprises, business enterprises. Churches today are run like business enterprises. Some have franchise. For some of them, for you to even to start a branch somewhere, you have to buy the franchise. You have to buy. They're operating as business entities. And they're making huge sums of profit. So why shouldn't they pay taxes? When the ordinary person is paying taxes, why shouldn't they pay taxes? Churches as legal persons, they are not non-profit. I'm talking of those churches. There are churches that are, that are non-profit. But most churches make profit. They are for profit. And why shouldn't they pay taxes like everyone else? Of course, churches should pay taxes like everyone else. 2, most churches, especially in Africa, though corporate entities, are owned and controlled by a few, usually the founder. Okay? Usually the founder. So the founder is everything. He may have a caricature board, but the board is just a rubber stamp to say yes to whatever they say. So the people of the church don't have a say in the running of the church. It's a business, right? And when the church makes wealth, a lot of profit at the end, when the founder, when the owner is old and about to die, they pass it on to their sons and daughters. That is what shows you that it is a profit-making business. If you are in ministry, the ministry of our Lord Jesus Christ, and you are being persecuted, you are going hungry, you are like the apostles, like Christians all along all across the centuries, who are preaching the true word of God, who are laboring for Christ, who are being persecuted, who are being maimed and killed. I don't believe that any of us would pass on that kind of ministry to your son, to your daughter. You ask them to stay away as far as possible. And I'm yet to see any son of any apostle that took over the apostleship, of the first apostles. Yeah, because there's no material profit there. Wherever you see a pastor, a founder of a church, passing on the church to their sons, to their relatives, it means there's a lot of profit. They are making a lot of profit. They are run as business enterprises, so they must pay taxes. Reason number 4, churches must pay taxes because they have properties that use services provided by government, such as roads, electricity, potable water, sewage systems. Today, churches have huge properties, multiple properties. The church building itself, the cathedrals. Would you have a big congregation if there were no road where members can travel and come to your church? If people came to your church and there was no sewage system, there's no toilet, and they have to stay there for 3 hours, especially in Africa, sometimes 3, 4, 5 hours they are in one church service. Can you stay there without sewage system, without toilet, without water, without electricity? No. So all these properties, a lot of properties that churches have acquired, remember, they are acquired by the church, by the legal entity, the legal person of the church. Not, normally the owners will say, oh, this belongs to the church. But as I've said, they are behind, they control everything, they siphon the funds into their own pockets and use the way that they want. Okay, so these churches use the facilities, the services provided by government. They need those services to function. Therefore, they must pay taxes to help the government expand those services. It's very simple. Reason number 5, church members benefit from services provided by government. And for that reason, their ministries or whatever their businesses are enhanced so that, they make more money. They make more income because there are roads, that come directly to their place, and so more people can come. And the more people come into their places, the more they pay, tithes and offerings, and the churches become wealthy. So the people who are coming would have to use a road. The people who are coming would have to, make use of government services provided by government in order to come. An example is, during this COVID-19, with this pandemic, I know some churches gave, some, contributions, donations, not only churches, many organizations donated to help government. But no church will get up and say that I am going to take up the the bulk of expenditure. Everybody was looking at government and government and government and government. In Ghana, for instance, the government had to give many months of free electricity, free water to the people to just make life, bearable for them. The government had to invest in more hospitals. The government had to. Today we're talking about vaccines. I'm yet to see any private person that has contributed to buy vaccines. They're expensive. And no individual would want to use their money, their own money, to buy vaccines for everyone. No, it doesn't work that way in the society because of greed and selfishness. They're keeping money for themselves and their families. So again, it is the government that has to bring in vaccines. People are dying. Who would take care of dying people? Who will bring the vaccines? Who will purchase the vaccines? Who will negotiate with other governments? Whether they are gifts or whatever they are, the government is in a position to do such negotiations. So that is why churches should pay taxes. You are making profit and you are using services provided by the government. So churches should be made to pay taxes. Number 6, it is unfair to take taxes from porters. In Ghana, we call them paupa or kayaye. You take taxes from them. They pay taxes, and some of them are homeless. They sleep in the streets, in kiosks. And, every day the revenue workers go there and make them pay taxes. Hawkers, people carrying, little items on their heads and hawking in the streets, hawking and selling them in the market just to make 1 square meal, a meal a day. They are being taxed by government. But churches that make billions of money are not taxed. The government fears, and that is one of the problems, to touch them. If a pastor, like happened recently in Ghana, would give a gift of $1 million to his daughter on her day of wedding, why shouldn't that church be taxed? Why shouldn't that lady pay taxes on the $1 million? Understand the IRS, the Internal Revenue Service it's IRS also. The Internal Revenue Services in Ghana, have decided to invite the lady. I don't know whether they've done it yet. I've been monitoring Peace FM, and I hear these stories. And I know the whole, of the religious systems will go, no. $1 million from a pastor to his daughter on the day of wedding. And some pictures that we saw, the clothing of the wedding were taken from whatever, the Turkey or whatever, one of these, nations, just to let everyone know that I'm special, I'm not like you. Display of opulence, wealth, shameless display of wealth. Where did the pastor get that money from? Where did he get that money from? Humble beginning. I know him very well. We're on Legon, in the same year, in different schools. Just an ordinary person. He started the church. The church was not as wealthy as it is. But again, it's through the tithes and offerings and fundraisers of people. And then after they've made a lot of wealth, they invest in businesses. Today, it's popular for churches to build universities, hospitals. But when you build those hospitals, are they for profit or non-profit? If they are for profit, they are just business entities. If you build a hospital and that hospital, because it is built by a church, is charging less than the other hospitals, yes, then the government can give, tax exemption to that hospital. But their universities are charging the same fees that, the other universities, other private universities are charging. So they are just business entities. After they've made the money from the people, after they squeezed the people and taken the money, they now begin to invest. And those investments are private business properties. Right? So, yes, churches in Africa are rich. They are rich. I overheard one minister, I can't remember whether it was a minister in Ghana, saying that, when you look at the revenue that goes to government, it is only 1/3 that goes to government. 2/3 goes to religious organizations. How can you expect such a nation to develop? And the same people will get up and shout that the government is not doing well, and the government has failed. Let's change the government, and the government is oppressing the people. The government is corrupt. Is anyone more corrupt than many pastors? Not all, many pastors in Africa. In one of my previous episodes of Other Matters, I showed the number of pastors in Africa that have private jets, sometimes 2, 3, 4, 5 private jets in Africa. And their churches may not be paying taxes. And why can't the government make them pay taxes? The government fears, as I said at the beginning in my introduction, a tale of two classes enhanced by religion. In India, we have the class system, the high class and lower class. And the high class, they are the untouchables. How is this system enhanced? It's enhanced by religion. God said we are untouchable. The race system here in the United States and in Europe are enhanced by religion. You just go, there are parts of the Bible that you read that people have used to enhance the race system. The story of Noah, the story of the curse of Ham, the story of, even though Ham was not cursed, but the religious system said Ham was cursed, and so all Hamitic people are under a curse. They are supposed to be slaves of the other races. And people use that to come to Africa and take the Negroes as slaves. Class system enhanced by religion. In the Christian religion, I'm the Lord's anointed. Don't touch the Lord's anointed. I put on a cloak of the clergy. I sit separated from the church. And you look at some seats of some senior pastors, they're almost like thrones. The senior pastor or the head pastor sits on the biggest throne, and then the associates sit on smaller thrones. They are untouchable, and hiding behind the pulpit, hiding behind the cloak, they exploit the people. They crush the people. They make them pay, and they keep paying. And God says, God says, God says. And because most of these people are so ignorant and they're lazy, and they won't even read the Bible. And that's the reason that in most of these systems, the oppressed, the victims are not even allowed to discover the truth. That's why the Bible was taken away from people in the past. Bible was taken away from ordinary people, and there was a lie told that if we were not initiated and you read the Bible, you become mad. All these are to sustain the class system. You think that the white superiority that some people are enjoying, they enjoyed it over the centuries. You think just to get up and tell them that we are equal, they accept, they're going to fight The same way the churches will fight. They will fight both the demonic, demonic power and the political power. They control so much, of the nation that the governments fear to touch them. If I touch them, I will lose the next elections. That is why Africa is poor. Africa is poor because of its fear. The poverty of Africa is partly due to its fear of regulating religious legal entities, which have become a safe haven for all sorts of people. All sorts of people. Fraudulent people, mentally ill people, charlatans, posing as traditional healers, posing as marabouts or malams, posing as pastors and prophets. They are all in there. They are all in there making money and protected by the umbrella of religion. Protected by the umbrella of religion. And government people go there to receive spiritual power because they want to remain in power forever. Government people do it. The police people go there. Soldiers go there. The evidence is the story that, and we thank God for, Kennedy at Japan. He puts in a lot of money in research and it's Net2 TV, which I've been monitoring every week. Some people come there to confess some things that are awful. And this so-called prophet called Ubinim, and the things that some of the things he did, and the people that came who are working with him who came and confessed some things, they fear him. They fear him. They fear their demonic power. They fear their political power. They fear their economic power. So even soldiers and police people and the people of government fear because they themselves go there. They patronize these people. How can Africa survive? How can Africa develop? The bulk of the money is what people who are untouchable. They've used religious legends, religious, tales to back the class in which they are. Don't touch the Lord's anointed. We are the white people, supremacists. We are supreme. God made us supreme. And they use the Bible to justify their ideas of supremacy, which didn't exist sometimes. When did the white race begin to be supreme? All races have been supreme one time. The black race was the first race to be supreme under King Nimrod. Go back to the Bible. The Bible says he was the first person who became great and began to build empires. He was ruling over the people of Shem and Japheth. But it fell. In the same way, white supremacy will fall one day. It's falling fast, but those that are beneficiaries of the system are fighting hard to keep it. The same way pastors are going to fight hard to keep their supremacy, to keep their benefits, because they are exploiting the people and no one is touching them. But the time has come for them to begin to pay their fair share. Yes, you can make business. They are just business enterprises under the name of church. Yes, go ahead. As long as you pay taxes for the government to have enough money to take care of the downtrodden, to take care of the people that you crush, to take money, because you yourself are not going to take care of them. So pay taxes to government so that government will take care of these people. Thank you, beloved. Thank you for coming with me in this episode of Other Matters. Don't miss the next episode. This is a hot, channel. Don't miss the next episode. Please, subscribe to the channel so that anytime I'm live, you will be notified, or when I do a recording, you'll be notified so that you'll not miss a channel. Also, if you like this, this presentation, like it on the YouTube, and also share it with somebody else. God bless you. I'll come your way again in the next episode. And don't forget, it is for the love of Africa. Sometimes my heart aches when I compare Africa to the rest of the world. When I look at the resources that God has given to Africa and how much the people of Africa are suffering. I go back to Ghana and I just sigh all the time. Not one single dual carriage road from south to north. Not one single dual carriage road. But people have private jets. People in the church can give $1 million to their daughters on the day of their wedding. It can only take place in Africa. African leaders, rise up. I pray for people like Kenneth Japan. I don't like his language. His language is sometimes foul. But God doesn't need saints, to raise up Africa. If you look at the history of the world, even the Bible, God didn't need saints. God used, Nebuchadnezzar. At one time, he said he brought every nation under Nebuchadnezzar, and he called Nebuchadnezzar my servant. God doesn't need saints. Even saints themselves will not even want to go into politics. It's so foul that saints, real true saints, don't want to go there. But many of these people who call themselves Christians, if they become president, they'll be more corrupt than anyone else. So God doesn't need saints. God needs people who are prepared to die. And I've always said it. The reason that, despite his foul language, and I wish that he would tone down on the foul language and insult. But the reason that I really pray for Kenneth Japan and pray that God will give him long life and God would help him is that he is prepared to die for the truth. Those are the people that we need to rule Africa. Those are the new breed of leaders that we need. He will tell the truth. He will say it, no matter the challenges that face, no matter the dangers that face him. These are the people we need, who will fire people they will fire anyone, even if it's their own relatives who are corrupt, if their own friends, they'll fire them. Such people, I know, may be killed. They'll be killed by the corrupt people. But like the church, like those of us in the ministry, who are totally sold out, we are dead to the self. We don't care to die for Christ. We don't care to die for Christ. So there is somebody like Kenneth Japan. And I pray that we have many more Kenneth Japans in Africa who will be prepared to lay down their lives for the development of their nations. I pray that Kenneth Japan would actually, Ken, if you happen to watch this tape, surrender your life to Christ and let Christ remove the tragic flaw in your life. There is a tragic flaw in your life, and that is pride and arrogance. If you surrender your life to Christ, the Holy Spirit will remove that tragic flaw, and your temperament and your experiences and whatever you've acquired in life is a mighty, mighty resource that God can use, not only in Ghana, but in the whole of Africa. If you really consider surrendering your life to Christ, not like the religion that we're talking about, church, really seek God, seek Christ. Begin to read your Bible, Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John, and ask God to reveal himself to you. You get to know Christ. And then God would help you, kill that tragic flaw. It's a tragic flaw because, the Bible says that there is a spirit that resists the proud. And that spirit is called Jehovah. So I strongly believe that God put you there for a purpose. In the future, I hope that God will raise you up. But If there is pride, the same person that raises you up will bring you down. So my prayer for you is that you surrender your life to Christ, allow Christ to help you to deal with pride and arrogance, and then you will be a material that will be a historic material, not only for Ghana, because other people will see the example. There are other leaders. My ministry, we pray constantly for Africa. For instance, the terrorists taking over West Africa, we seriously praying. And corruption is one of the reasons that they are taking over West Africa. Corruption. There are people in the system who take money. They love money more than human beings. We need people who are prepared to die for their nations and who will come there and fight corruption and do the right thing. They may be killed, yes, and they themselves have to prepare to be killed. But God might as well preserve them so that preserve them and use them to build the nations. God bless you. Thank you for watching this video, and I pray that you will not miss the next video. God bless you, and I'll see you in the next episode. Bye.